Hello everybody, this is Evan Rogers coming at you with another fancy language words. We are answering questions that you didn't ask, because you should know these words, but you probably don't. So I'm here to teach you about today what a predicate is. Predicate. This is one of those words you think doesn't actually exist, but it does. Because they used to teach it like 80 years ago, and they don't teach it in schools anymore. And it's important for us when we're learning a language to have a vague idea of what a predicate is, especially in Japanese, where they frequently just leave out information. They'll be like, ate, and that means, did you eat yesterday? The delicious ramen that I already knew we were talking about? And it's important for us to know what a predicate is, so that we can begin to see a predicate and then try to identify what could the subject be. So this is actually an important one. Once again, the definitions that I'm giving here are very vague and not very precise because they are very difficult to define. Rewatch the videos previous to learn more about how almost impossible it is to define a word, let alone a sentence. So here we go, a predicate. Assuming you understand, you know what a predicate is. Assuming that you understand what a predicate is, a sentence is, assuming that you know what a sentence is, we can talk about what a predicate is. A predicate is, to put it easily, that which is not the subject. Everything that isn't the subject. So that's basically what a predicate is. Everything that isn't the subject of the sentence or the clause. We will talk about clauses later, because most people don't know what a clause is, so I'm using sentence. However, this isn't really a good description, because sometimes it gets tricky. And sometimes we have clauses inside of clauses. We have predicates inside of predicates and predicates inside of subjects and things like that. We could also say that a predicate is whatever the subject does or is being described as. Okay, so basically, I am fat. Everything after, what is fat? I am fat. That's the subject. And what is I? I am fat. That's the predicate. If you put those two up here, translations or explanations, definitions that I gave up here, you'll be able to see what I mean. You can usually figure out what the predicate is by asking, what does the subject do, or what is the subject described as being? What is the subject? Like, the subject is what? If you ask that question, the subject is what, you'll generally find out what a predicate is. So here's some examples. Cheese goes great on pizza. So let's first identify the subject. So, what goes great on pizza? Cheese goes great on pizza. Goes great on pizza. Let's zoom out a little bit. Does this still fit in the screen? Yes, it does. It fits fantastically in the screen. All right, so the subject is, thanks to our question, what goes great on pizza? Is cheese. Our cheese is the subject. So everything that isn't cheese is the subject. Also, we can say cheese does something, and cheese goes great on pizza. Everything that isn't the subject is goes great on pizza. So that's the predicate. What does cheese do? It goes great on pizza. Thus, the predicate is goes great on pizza. Notice we have a verb. It goes great on pizza. So that's the predicate verb, and then everything else is the complete predicate. You might remember that we had a complete subject, and then just that one word was the subject. Well, the predicate verb is goes, and the rest of it is the predicate. Okay? So everything that isn't the subject. Let's look at the next one. My shirt is too small. What is too small? My shirt. That's the subject. My shirt is the subject, and the important word is just shirt. So that's the actual the subject. So what does my shirt do, or what is my shirt? My shirt is too small. So the subject is my shirt, and the predicate is too small. Okay, so everything that isn't my shirt is too small. And then what is the shirt being described as? Is too small. Both of those questions give us the predicate. What is my shirt? It is too small. The predicate is too small. Again, the predicate verb is, and the entire predicate is too small. All right. What is the sentence? What was I smoking when I wrote this? The fat man juggles bananas. That's a thing fat men do, apparently. So, what juggles bananas? Why, the fat man juggles bananas. So the fat man is the subject. The actual specific word that is the subject is man. And what does the fat man do? everything that isn't the subject is juggles bananas. So that's the predicate. The predicate is juggles bananas. The and fat do describe the man. Okay, right. So one of our definitions of the predicate was that which describes the subject, but notice how the fat are describing man, whereas the fat man is all just one idea. So this is tricky. This is why this is all difficult to define. The fat man is kind of like one giant word, right? It's like the fat man. And the word the is modifying man, and the word fat is the modifying man. So if we go back up to what I describe the predicate as being, we kind of see, we had the description, everything that isn't the subject, but we also has whatever the subject does or is described as being. So when we say that anything that describes the subject is the predicate, that gets us into hot water because the fat, the and the word fat are not part of the predicate. They're part of the subject, because to find the subject, we generally ask what juggles bananas? And then the answer is the fat man juggles bananas, and the fat man is all together. When we say that we want to know what describes a subject, we're looking for be verbs like is or are or am or things like that, and then what comes after it. Once again, these words are very difficult to define. Predicate is very vague. Basically, it's everything that isn't the subject. That's the best definition that we can come up with, but that gets us into hot water when we have a giant multi-clause sentence, which we'll talk about later. Okay, so notice that the and fat do describe man, but they are not part of the predicate, okay? Because they are part of the subject. This is because they form a noun phrase. We will talk about phrases in the future, but hopefully you can see the fat man juggles bananas. I hope you can draw that line in the sand, in the sentence, to see that there is a difference. The fat man is the subject, and juggles bananas is the predicate. Here's one that's a little bit confusing. We have go to school. You. All right, so I kind of gave away the answer. What's the subject? What is go to school? This is a command, and command sentences are strange in both English and Japanese. The subject isn't mentioned. This is one of the few times that the subject is not mentioned in English in command sentences. So, go to school? Well, we don't actually have a subject in that sentence, although there is a subject. The subject is you. You go to school. I want you to go to school, things like that. So the subject is generally going to be you, and the predicate is that entire sentence, go to school. You go to school is kind of like the sentence. And you is what goes to school, and go to school is what you do. Everything that isn't the subject is this entire sentence. It is a command sentence, so the subject is missing, and that's what's going on there. Okay? Notice also sentences like please are also command sentences. Please give me your wallet. Please give me your wallet. That's still a command, isn't it? We're just adding the word please that magically makes it nicer. So, you give me your wallet. Alright, so that's what's going on there. That's a predicate. I hope you learned something new today. Have yourself a happy, happy day. Peace out.